Hello and welcome everyone to a very special tea time with me, Amanda Prochaska. I am so excited to be here today. I have Ellie Steinbrink here with me from Style Decoded. I have that right? Yes. And
Yes.
Ellie has been an inspiration from afar for me. As a woman who is in an executive role, Ellie brings day in and day out how to match your style with your executive presence and have it really incorporated into your life, which I just love. So I cannot wait to talk to Ellie today so she can share some of your wisdom, some of her wisdom with you. And we are going to go ahead and get started. Ellie, I would love for you just to introduce yourself to begin with.
Great. Thanks for having me here, Amanda.
Yeah.
My name is Ellie Steinbrink. As Amanda just said, I am an expert stylist, personal brand coach, now a podcast host. I can add that
Woo!
to my list. Yes, and a speaker. And I won't go into my bio because that's boring. But what I will say is that my passion is really in, well, of course, I am a stylist, and what I work in is style and wardrobes. What I'm most passionate about is the shift that I'm making in the women I work with into a more authentic level of visibility. And authenticity is a word that really gets thrown around a
Oh
lot,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's the buzzword right now, authentic leadership. And what I'm bringing light to is that yes, it's possible and acceptable to be more authentic in your leadership and in your style. It's not easy, but it actually is something that will impact your bottom line. So what I'm doing with women is I'm working with them on making a shift, and it's not just a wardrobe shift, it's a
Yeah.
mindset shift to embrace a different style that is more authentic to them and that is going to honestly take the weight off of your shoulders of everybody else's demands. And I'm sure we're going to get into a lot of this here, Amanda.
Yeah.
But that's what I'll leave you with.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
other the other thing I would say is I came from 20 years in the marketing industry. And so I thought my whole life was going to be marketing until I decided that hey, this actually wasn't for me. So my passion around personal branding comes from those 20 years of marketing. And now I'm just doing personal branding on a much more individual scale.
I absolutely love that. And congratulations also for making the shift from corporate into entrepreneurship. Having done that myself, it's a journey, right? And it takes quite a bit to do. So very,
Yeah.
very impressed with what you're doing and how you're helping women and potentially some men get that alignment of their style and their authentic self and how they show up. I'm going to share a little bit of a story, and I think I've shared this story with you before, but I went through this journey a couple of years ago, actually, probably 6 years ago now, where, or maybe five, where we were coming out of COVID, right? And all of a sudden, I was getting asked to go speak at conferences, and I was like, I have athletic wear and my old corporate stuff that I used to wear. And
Uh-huh.
I felt like when I was on phone, that like these types of calls on Teams meetings and stuff, that I wasn't showing up as a CEO of a company. Like I felt like I was a CFO, a CEO, but I was not feeling like externally I was showing that to others across the way. And in consulting, details matter, right? Like
Hmm.
um, all of those details really make a difference when you're introducing yourself to a potential client or trying to gain trust in the industry. So I went through a little bit of this several years ago, and it was a game changer for me.
Hmm.
Now I still have a ways to go, believe me. Like I'm sure it's always morphing, right? As you
Yeah.
learn and expand and
Yes.
things come your way and you continue to learn. But um, it was a phenomenal experience for me.
Yeah, I remember you
Yeah,
talking about this,
yeah.
Amanda. And I think what you describe is so common, even though we're not necessarily moving directly out of the pandemic right now.
Hmm.
You wouldn't believe how many women I work with and talk with that will still talk about struggling with how to dress. Let's just put it
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
generically like that. Whether
Right.
it's that my wardrobe became way too casual during the pandemic, or it's now because I'm doing less Zoom and I'm doing more in person,
Yes.
so what I need to wear really shifts. It's not just that I have to have the top half of my outfit figured out. I need to like figure out
Yes.
the bottom too.
Right. Right.
But I also see it happening when we're in transitions. And I think as a leader, we're going to find ourselves in transitions and leveling up into a different version of our leadership all the time. And whenever you feel yourself leveling up, where I find that some of the first signs come is exactly what you said. You get invited to speak maybe at a big
Yeah.
conference, or you have a really important presentation, maybe to a client that you're so excited about, or maybe you're just presenting within your own company and it's a big opportunity for you. It's in those moments when you walk into your closet and you think,
I have nothing to
okay,
wear.
everything in here is fine. Let's just maybe say like it's fine, like it worked for the old version of me, but all of a
Yes.
sudden it doesn't feel like it resonates anymore. And when I hear women say that, I can tell, oh, that's your sign. It can feel like a crisis, but it's actually a really good sign that you're in growth mode. You're ready for something bigger, you're ready for something different. And that's really the sweet spot of where I like to work, because you're so open. You're so open to, and you can see that next level version of yourself. And now
Hmm.
it's just a matter of saying, okay, internally I feel ready. Now we need to have this be an inside out transformation. And I really do feel like the style aspect of a transformation
Hmm.
is very visible, clearly. It's also very scary and
It is.
vulnerable,
Yep.
because now not only are you changing on the inside, now people are going to see there's a transformation happening on the outside, and that can feel really
Yes.
scary.
It was really scary, but it was also like really refreshing because when people noticed and the compliments, I had someone follow me into the bathroom once to compliment me on my outfit, right? Like
Oh,
that
amazing.
to me, I was like, that has never happened before.
Uh-huh.
And it was such an amazing experience. And I was like, okay, now I feel like my light is shining a little bit more than it was before, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that really made a difference. So
Yeah.
here's something that has always been on my mind, like the all black pantsuit thing. Okay. Um, and
Let's get into it.
I know. So I know that that suits are important sometimes, right? All black pantsuits maybe will fit certain people, but how should someone approach curating their wardrobe that matches their professional aspirations? And maybe that's not a pantsuit. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that when you think about dressing for your next level, you think
Hmm.
of like, you think of things like dress for success. You think about all the things you could Google to say, like, if I'm looking to get this job, what do I need to wear to the interview? There's a plethora of
Right.
advice out there about what you should wear in order to achieve success or achieve the next level. What I'm trying to dismantle in the minds of my clients and anybody who will listen to me really is we're playing by everybody else's rules. And I've met, many women and even my clients who, when they think of their next level, self,
Hmm.
into that next level of leadership or into that next position they're going after, uh, a blazer or, wearing all black may not be what they see in their vision, but there's an
Hmm.
incredible amount of fear to break the mold.
Right.
Because when,
Yeah.
when we look around us, and especially depending on what industry you're working in, it can be, even more formalized and standardized than some other industries. But I've worked with a lot of women who come from industries where the standard is blacks, neutral. And if you want to make your way to the top, the belief is that you just wear what everybody else is wearing. So we get in sort of this fear loop.
Yeah.
First of all, we sort of ignore what we would have really liked, because we are like, okay, well, this is the prescriptive for success. This is what you do, and I see this is how my boss is dressing. And so
Right.
I mean,
Follow
I'm
that.
assuming that's what we need to do.
Right.
And
Yeah.
over time, and this happens actually even when we're little girls and growing up in our teenage years and in our early working years, we start to develop and collect all these rules about how we're supposed to show up, how we're not supposed to show up. And
Mm-hmm.
when I start to dig in this with my clients, you would not believe how many rules and expectations come up, whether it's about what we should wear or about our bodies. That's a whole other topic. But we really kind of just go down this prescribed path. And at some point along the way, we haven't even stopped to say, what is it that I actually like?
Right.
What would be a representation of me? And so that's the first thing I would have someone question. And that's actually where my work starts. If someone comes to me and says, hey, I'm ready for a style transformation, I'm ready to shift, I say, that's great, but we're not going to go shopping first.
Right.
Because
Yep.
there's some things in your mind and our rules that are actually going to work to hold you back from making a change. Like, let's just say you came to me and you said, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really sure if I want to continue doing this all black thing, which I know you don't. Black isn't
Yeah.
one of your colors. I know
No,
that.
it's not my color.
But even if you were to say, like, I'm ready to go for
Yeah.
my next level, and you say, maybe I'm ready to get away from the black. I think I'm ready for this. I feel like I love color and I'd really like to embrace it. Okay, so I say, great. I start shopping. We start putting things on, and what can happen, what I have seen happen in my first year of doing this,
Yeah.
was that when we tried to take a step away from what they thought was what was comfortable to them and what was so ingrained in their beliefs that would lead them to success, when they tried to take a step away from that, it was scary.
Yeah.
And they were
Yeah.
like, okay, this is great. And it didn't matter how many times I told them you look great or how many times they felt like they looked great. The thought of actually going and stepping into the room and standing out a little bit
Yes.
and maybe not looking like everybody else, they weren't ready. And so I learned in that moment, oh, okay, there's some work we have to do. We have to kind of shed some of these beliefs first that are just holding us so tightly and keeping us from stepping into who we really want to be. And it wasn't until I learned this and started putting it into practice with my clients that I realized that is actually where the true transformation is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, your closet may get an overhaul, but what is happening is you're changing and letting go of some of those beliefs. It's kind of like if you guys have ever read the book uh, Big Leap.
Yeah.
It's similar
Yeah.
to that. So like when you're ready to change, you might think in your head, I'm ready to change. But when it comes time to taking action, you're going to self-sabotage. And that's what I saw happening over and over again. So my number one piece of advice for someone who is like, okay, feel like I'm ready to step into this new level of me. I'm not sure if it isn't going to involve black anymore. Maybe I'm willing to let that go. We got to start working on our mindset and believing a new set of beliefs, because often these rules, they're not rooted in anything. And in
Right.
fact, I just came across this incredible research by Eleanor Beaton. She's a coach to female CEOs, seven-figure CEOs and beyond. And she had said, this is something I talk about authenticity all the time. And I know it changes you, and I know it changes your leadership and your business. She actually has research to prove that when you show up more authentically in your personal brand, it not only increases trust of you, and think
Yeah.
about the environment we're in and how difficult it can be to
Oh,
acquire a
yeah.
client and how difficult
Mm-hmm.
it is to gain trust. It increases the retention of that client, so how long you would hold on to that client, and it decreases their time to purchase.
Oh,
And it blew
wow.
my mind. It blew my mind
Wow.
because now I'm like, great, this is what we've all been wanting in this buzzword of authenticity. We kind of wonder, like, well, is it really is sticking my neck out and showing who I really am worth it? And I love that this research proves that.
Absolutely. So, what are some practical first steps for aligning the wardrobe piece with your career aspirations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one really simple, easy step you can take. So, we just talked about starting to question your beliefs.
Yeah.
Why do I believe? Why do I believe that black is the most professional? Why do I believe that that's going to get me to my next level? It, and there's so many other rules beyond just, wearing black too.
Yeah.
But the second thing I would say is, outside of questioning your beliefs and are those beliefs still working in my favor, would be when you walk into your closet, I want you just to start noticing. And this is going to feel like almost too simple of a tip.
Okay.
I want you to start noticing how your clothes make you feel. the reason I bring this up is because in the world we live in right now, the way in which we can acquire clothes or discard of clothes within our closet is almost too easy, right?
Yeah, right.
And this isn't a statement about fashion really, but it's just that the cycles of the fashion world is that it has become very transactional.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
that's okay.
Our relationship with clothes have become very transactional because we can acquire them very quickly and we can discard of them very quickly without much thought. And somewhere along the way, and also in addition to the fact that no longer do we have seasonal periods for style where you would have,
Right.
one big spring season and then you'd have one big fall season. Now it's like weekly, we're getting emails from retailers. Oh, there's the new drop and there's the new
Yeah,
drop and check out the
right.
new arrivals. And it's this constant like refilling of our closets. We haven't really stopped to ask ourselves, when I put this thing on my body, does it feel like me? Did I buy it because I feel like I have to fit in? Is it itchy and uncomfortable? Does it
Right.
even fit? Does it fit me? Number one, for example, like a lot of women are holding on to things that are not in their size for the hope that one day they might fit into it. I
Mhm.
feel like that's bad juju in your closet too. Like I don't
Yes.
think that's helping us at all. So the question of normally when we go to get dressed in our closets, what I find women tell me is that what is playing in their head is, oh, am I going to fit in? And what is everybody else going to be wearing at this event? And all these little points of
Mm-hmm.
decision we make. And it's exhausting.
Yes.
No wonder we're exhausted when we step into our closet and we struggle with what to wear because we're thinking about everybody else instead of just, wait, did I ask how I feel in this? Or do I even like this color? And if I was being real with myself, what would I actually wear?
Yeah.
So the tip of just notice. And is your voice anywhere in that conversation that's going in your head?
It's kind of interesting. My whole thing when I'm out at traveling to conference after conference after conference, I think to myself, what social media pictures have I been in that outfit? And was it just last week? Right? Like, because
Yes.
then so that's a whole different complication, right? Like
Yes.
around
Yeah.
when was I
Then it's a
last in this
branding
outfit?
element.
Yes.
And
Um,
honestly, people don't
yeah.
remember as much as we do. So there's that.
I know, I know. It's so funny, but that's like the whole panic in my closet when I go in there. I'm like, okay, like
Yeah.
what happened? And especially if it's like a formal event, like, did I wear that dress
Oh,
last time?
yeah.
So yeah, but all of those, it is interesting how stressful going into your closet can be.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's a lot.
okay,
It's a lot going on. And if we're honest with ourselves, we're looking to appease everyone else but ourselves.
right.
And I think that's the real sad part about it is, and a lot of the women I work with, we're in middle life. Okay, we're in our 40s and beyond, and we're just taking that time to now reconnect with ourselves, which I think is awesome. Because even if we felt like we were really connected with what to wear in our style when we were early in our career, things change, whether it's marriages, career changes, kids,
Yeah,
whatever life throws at you, there's at some point where you walk into your closet and you think, I don't even know what I like anymore, even if I thought I once knew what I like. So this recheck in with who am I now? Who is the woman I'm looking to become? If I think about what she might be wearing, if I could visualize an outfit that I could see this next level of myself wearing, if you can try to put the blinders on about what I think, people would like of her to wear,
right, right.
that is where the magic can really come. But it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of honesty with yourself. It's
Yeah,
not easy.
absolutely. And it's probably a journey, like
It is.
over time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned sabotaging ourselves in this journey, which I
Yeah.
think is kind of an interesting concept to go into a little bit more. So, like when a leader is going in to their closet or looking at themselves in a mirror, how can that reflect the leader we want to be?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That is a great question, Amanda. And there's two things that come to mind for
yeah,
me. One of the things is that how we choose to make decisions about what to wear is going to be reflected in how we show up in decision making in our leadership. And let me give you an example. One of the things I talk to my clients a lot about is self-led leadership. So most of us haven't been taught how to get dressed in a self-led way. I was just talking about this, how we're looking to get the compliment, or in some cases, I have a big event coming up and I've got 3 outfits. And so I'm going to make a poll on Instagram and ask everybody to tell me which is the best outfit, which I'm going to raise my hand and say, I've been guilty. So don't think I'm sitting here shaming you if you've done this. But we've been taught to dress in a way that is appeasing others. It's fitting in with the rules. It's following standards. And so when you think about getting dressed in that way and how it might apply to your leadership, think about, if I go into my closet and I say, this is what I really would love to wear, and I know that it's not necessarily going to please everybody, but what I'm looking to do is please myself first, because I know that when I tune into what's right for me, that then I can show up more magnetically, energetically, in a better place to do everything I want to do in that day. You show up differently.
Yeah.
And when your goal is always to appease others, that decision making, how does that apply to your leadership? And if you can practice this muscle, I like to think of it, I'm big into strength training now, because now I'm in my mid 40s, and apparently this is what premenopausal women do is, we strength train. But when I first started to lift the really heavy weights, it was really difficult for me and it was really uncomfortable. And over time, it never really became totally uncomfortable, because that's the goal of strength training, is always to kind of up the ante level, and continue to make it uncomfortable so you can grow. And I see this choice about what we're wearing in our closet in a similar way. The first time you make a decision about to wear that is, something that you would want to wear, but maybe it might ruffle a few feathers, or maybe not even that, but just isn't what everybody else is going to wear, but it honors you. That is you building a muscle to be a courageous and self-led leader, as opposed to someone who just knows all the right things to say and do. Right. And I think what I've found is over time, and this happens in our closet, is over time that just gets exhausting, to have to sort of be always thinking about, well, what is everyone else going to think? It's well, no, what would I think? The other thing I think about is around the personal branding aspect. Right. And I like to talk about how the fact that, I spent 20 years branding clients and companies, and it was very easy to do that because it wasn't me out there. But now when I've started my own business, now it's all of a sudden, oh, great, I got to promote myself. Yeah. And it feels very different, and it feels very vulnerable to be promoting myself. But one of the things I often will share about personal branding is that when I was in a client representative role, consulting with my clients about their branding, never once did I ever get asked the question, Ellie, how can I fit in amongst my competitors? Right. You always wanted to stand out. But yes, when you become a personal brand, that feels vulnerable. It feels scary to stand out and not be like everyone else. So if you're listening and your goal is to create a personal brand for yourself, the goal is not to fit in. The goal is to stand out. And that is not just in the way you communicate in your leadership style, but it is also in how you dress. It should be aligned, all of it. Yes. Yeah, it's interesting because I've coached a couple of executives lately over the last 6 months, mostly on resumes and finding their next opportunity. And it shows up in resumes. Everyone wants to say the same thing in a resume. And I was no, you're one of 100, let's just say. If you're lucky, you're one of 100 that's applying for this job. Don't you want to stand out? Don't you want to be memorable? And so it's the same concept, right? We don't if you are trying to level up, if you're trying to build your personal brand, it is all about who you are and a reflection of who you are, right? That brand. Yeah, it is. And you're unique. Yeah. And that's right? Amazing. Not like everyone else. And it's funny because, I have a teenage daughter, and I understand this desire to fit in, because when, I take her to school and she's asking me to wear this or that, and then I drop off at school and I see that everyone else is wearing whatever she just asked me to wear. Yeah, right. I think, of course, that is where we feel safe. We feel safe, knowing we fit in and being a part of community and fitting in
Yes,
is a human need.
it is.
But when we're talking about a branding standpoint, it can also, yes, maybe put you, make you stand out in a way where you're not like everyone, but it also is the best attractor. It will make
Mhm.
you the most magnetic. You will really find your best opportunities and your best clients when you just show who you really are. And it
Yeah.
goes back to that. It's so exhausting just to keep pretending.
Yeah, it is. And you use all of that energy to keep
Yeah.
on pretending versus showing up in a more authentic way. I had a woman approach me at a conference who I don't know very well, but she follows me on LinkedIn and she like see me on stage and everything. She's like, "The one thing that I always know about you is that you're never in black. Like you're always in colors. You might be in some neutrals, but she's like, I've just noticed that about you." And I was like, I never even thought about like it
Yeah.
became part of my brand for her, right? Which is
Yeah.
it's kind of an interesting concept.
Yeah. I
Yes.
always like to think of too, if someone's really pushing me on like, well, I'm not sure how I feel about stepping out in color. I'll
Yeah.
say, well, think of a really influential leader, whether you know them, like they're in your sphere, or maybe it's more of a celebrity type. Like I always think of Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
There are other iconic women that I think of, and I'm like, well, how are they showing up? And do I lose respect or do I think they're not successful because they're not wearing a certain color? No, it's not.
Right.
They're often the ones that are pushing the edges and, taking some risks. And there's tons of examples of this within corporate leadership, women who are taking these little risks and showing more of themselves. And guess what? Their careers didn't fail,
Right.
you know?
Right. They
But
probably
that's the
only
fear.
blossomed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about fear is once you tackle something that's scary, like so for instance, you were pushing your body with the weightlifting, right? And it
Yeah.
was hard. But once you can do hard things or uncomfortable things, then the next uncomfortable thing you can recognize in yourself that yes, it's uncomfortable, but I know I can achieve it, right? So the more
Yep.
we practice some of this, the
Yeah.
easier, right? It's not
Yeah.
it's still hard, but it's
It's
easier
never
for
going
us
to
to
be
get our
totally easy. Yeah.
right, right, but it's easier for your head to get around it, right?
Yeah.
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 Very
Love
cool.
it.
Well, okay. I have two more questions for you. So,
Okay.
can you share an example of how wardrobe confidence translated into better executive decision making for a client of yours?
I would love to share.
Yeah.
I have so many examples. In fact, if we drop a link to my podcast in the show notes, there
Yeah.
are a couple of interviews I've done with my own clients where you can hear firsthand what their experience was like. So feel free to go and listen to those. I won't share those. I want to share one that has not been on the
Okay.
podcast. And I'm not going to share her name out of confidentiality, but we'll just call her Sarah for now. That is not her
Okay.
name. She is someone who was at a high level in sales within an industry. And when she came to me, she had expressed that her goals were to build her own personal brand within her company, but also like broader within her
Yeah.
industry. She was looking to be seen as an executive level member of her team and also start to pursue other bigger opportunities within her company or maybe beyond.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, as we were working through her style goals and where she wanted to go, one of the things that came out, and she admitted, we're going to go back to this wearing black thing. This has been a
Yeah.
consistent theme, but she had said, I feel like when I go into my closet, even if I wanted to wear something different, I always fall back on black. So, like, even if I wanted to wear a really fun, maybe vibrant top, I feel like I have to still pair it with a pair of black pants.
Right.
And she said, I feel like I just feel most safe when I wear black. And she was also in an industry that was heavily male dominated. I mean, I'm sure she was seeing lots of black and navy
Oh
suits,
yeah.
in her
Oh yeah.
sphere, and her wanting to sort of join that camp and be at that level, she was feeling the pressure to fit in. But deep down, she said, I really just love color a lot more. And I really don't know how to get there, how to like still be professional and incorporate what I really love in my wardrobe. And one of the interesting things as we dug into what does this wearing black mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
And what would it feel like? Because there's a point in my work with my clients where we'll talk about describe in great detail an outfit that you would just absolutely love to walk into a room wearing. You know, the fabric, the color, everything. Tell me everything about it, and they'll describe it.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, how would it feel for you to actually walk into a room, an event you have next week wearing this? And she said, oh gosh, well, that makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable because my MO has always been to kind of play it safe and kind of just fall into the shadows. And if I wore something like this, I'd be front and
Excellent.
center.
Right.
And so that was a little bit of uncomfortable, a little bit of an uncomfortable zone for her that we needed to work through.
Mm-hmm.
And there was other things coming up. It wasn't just that everyone wears black and black is successful, but it was also like black seems like the easiest to, from a cost perspective. If I have to buy one piece in my wardrobe, black seems to go with everything. And
Yes.
if I'm have an eye
Yep.
towards like being cost effective in my wardrobe, that seems like, or what if I spill something on myself at a conference, then the black is going to hide it. So there was like not just aspirational things showing up, but practicality
Practical.
too.
Yeah.
So you just start to you start to understand like how many rules we put in place about wearing this or that. But I'm really excited to say that after we did get done working with her, she ended up she still wanted to wear suits. That was what
Yep.
suited her particular style, but they were in beautiful plum and teal colors, and they were just
Oof.
stunning. And
Yes.
there were some outfits that weren't fully coordinated suits
Yeah.
as well. There was patterns, and there was, it was beautiful. And she felt more alive and more confident as well. And not that much longer, I heard she had moved to like a higher level within her career. She was telling me, when I go to these conferences, I feel more confident walking in because I'm not thinking about this, that, or the other, or obsessing about what I'm wearing. I can just fully engage myself in talking to the person you need to talk to. And I often will talk about this energy shift that happens
Mm-hmm.
in your closet when you wear like I like to call it a good day in your closet versus a bad day in your closet. And when you walk out of your closet and you're feeling something where you don't feel that great or it's a color you don't love, you really do show up differently in
Yep.
all the spaces that you are in that day, and it affects your results versus something you feel really great in and alive in. It shifts your energy, and all of a sudden you're wanting to meet up with people. You're wanting to, hey, let's go have coffee, or you turn on your Zoom camera, or you go speak to someone new at a networking event. You
Right.
had the courage to do so, and you think about the results of those 2 different days and just how much what seems to be an insignificant decision in our closet, how that can really change the trajectory of your goals. And so she was one of the most fun transitions I had experienced, but I feel like this happens all the time with my clients. There is an energy shift. And that's why I say it's not just the wardrobe, it's coming from the inside out. It's how you feel and then how you show up differently.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm like totally jazzed about this, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are too. So,
Yeah.
where can they get in contact with you, learn more about what you offer? How do they get a hold of you?
Easiest way, I know a lot of your community is on LinkedIn, so I'm on
Mhm.
LinkedIn under my name, Ellie Steinbrink. You can find me there. Send me a message. I love to hear from you. If you're on Instagram, I'm at style.decoded. And my website is elliesteinbrink.com. And of course, I already mentioned the podcast, but I would love
Yeah.
to have you come in and tune into the podcast. It's called The Visibility Shift. And I'm in season 1 and
Ah,
would love to have everyone listen.
awesome. I actually almost wore a shirt today that said shift happens,
Oh my
but
gosh. That would have been awesome.
so I actually switched out of it this morning, but yeah, I almost wore it.
Next time.
I wear it to conferences
I love it.
often. So anyway,
I love
thank
it.
you so much, Ellie, not only for the conversation today, but how you are showing up for others and helping women in their careers. Kudos to you. Keep on shining your light. You're helping so many. So thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.